Are you consistently posting content, but no one is buying? That is a sign that the content you are posting isn't building trust. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to build trust. And when you know how to do this, your audience is going to feel seen, feel safe, and ready to buy. So, where does trust come from? Trust doesn't come from what you say, it actually comes from what you don't say. Have you ever had an encounter with someone? It didn't matter what they were telling you. You just sensed that you couldn't trust what they were saying. Maybe they came with an apology. They had all the right words. They were saying all the good stuff. But there was something about what they didn't say that made you not trust the words that were coming out of their mouth. Well, this is where your audience buys from. They buy from that space of what it is you're not saying. So, how do you build trust? How do you create the kind of content that builds trust and fills that gap of not just the words you say, but the undertone of the energy that's carrying your words? 3 steps, 3 things. First one, contemplation creates compassion. Contemplation creates compassion. Most people are so used to just finding the right words to say so that people buy without ever contemplating. When you contemplate, you give deep thought to your audience's pains, desires, but most importantly, you give thought to their future. And when you give thought to their future, now you're creating compassion for them. You're creating compassion for where they are, the things that they've tried that didn't work, the things that they've tried that they've gotten frustrated, the things that they've tried where they thought it would work, but it didn't, their weariness on their journey. You're going to have compassion for that. And you're going to have compassion for where they're going and who they desire to be because you've taken the time to contemplate. The more you think about something, the more you're going to connect with what it is you're thinking about. And you want to be able to connect with your audience. But it's so easy to find the right words to say, what words sell. And that's selling like hotcakes online right now. But you got to understand, you are building a personal brand through your content. You are a coach, a consultant, an expert, an author of some kind, and you've got a powerful message. But your audience isn't going to be able to connect with that message if you're looking for the right words without connecting with them. And I'm not saying you don't have compassion, but what I am saying is that you can spend so much time trying to promote, so much time trying to create the kind of content that gets from your audience, that gets them to buy, that you've completely taken out the compassion of your ability to serve them. They can no longer feel that. And so you want to take the time to contemplate where your people are. Take a look at the things that they've tried that didn't work. Take a look at why they keep spinning their wheels. My dad always says, like you're spinning top in mud, right? You just are spinning, 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 or they are spinning, 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 and they're wondering why they're not moving, why they're not growing. You can have compassion for that. The last thing you want to do is introduce any kind of shame into your content. There's enough shame going around already. Your people are already in a state of shame potentially because they're not where they thought they would be by now. They're not where they desire to be. Maybe they've messed up, they've hit some bumps in the road, and they're feeling shameful about that. So the last thing you want is to use words in your marketing and in your content that create shame and stir up that shame part of them. That's not buying from a good place if they end up buying, but it will repel more people than it will pull anybody in. And so you want to come with contemplation that allows you to have a level of compassion. You know, we will always trust someone who understands us. Doesn't matter how long we've known them. You can meet a stranger on the street at the park and you guys can enter into a conversation. And the moment you start jiving about something, you feel like that person understands you and you understand them. Guess what? There's an instant bond. And that instant bond is trust. In that moment, that person can make a recommendation to go eat at a restaurant, to go buy a book. They can make some kind of recommendation. And guess what? You're going to go buy that thing. Why? Because you guys just had an encounter. You guys had a connection. And they felt like they understood you. You felt like you understood them. And it was this back and forth. And now, hey, I trust your recommendation. I trust if you gave me something out of your bag and said, hey, I think you should read this or try this or use this or whatever. It's immediate. Doesn't take a long time to build trust. The time it takes is in contemplation and in preparation. This is where people are missing the boat. They're trying to get so quick to the money that you're pushing the money away because you didn't spend any time in contemplation to understand the person, understand the audience that you're serving. So as you're trying to find the words to say, you're just chasing your people away. I didn't mean for that to rhyme, but it did. So make sure that you're not bypassing this preparation step of contemplation. And I don't mean you got to contemplate for forever and a day, but can you think through the problems that your audience is going through? Can you think through the future that they desire for themselves? Instead of just thinking about the words you need to say in order to get somebody to buy, they're not buying. They're not buying from that. Things have really shifted online. That was very 2017, 2018 marketing. People aren't buying in this state of you say the right thing and they're just buying. They're not doing that anymore. They are truly looking for deeper connections. They're scanning these interwebs for people that they really jive with. So you don't want to bypass this because you're going to create a level of depth with your audience. And that depth is the pocket in which that trust is going to be built. All right, number 2, serve, don't strive. Y'all be striving. Y'all be striving. Y'all be striving. I was there too, but y'all be striving to get people to buy. Y'all be striving to get people into your opt-in list. Y'all be striving to get people on your masterclass, into your program. That level of striving screams, I need something from you. And it's almost like you're in a tug of war where you are pulling your audience, pulling them towards you, as opposed to just standing here and allowing them to come on their own. When you serve someone, they come to you. When you strive, you pull them in. It creates a very different energy in your content, and it creates a very different kind of audience that you build. You want an audience that is attracted to you, not an audience that you like tried to rope in, because now they can feel that level of pull. And some people might come, okay? Some people might actually come into your audience, but they're not going to necessarily be the most engaging. They might not even be buyers. They might just be some lurkers like, okay, this person's saying a couple of good things, but they're not going to be the people that are your people. They're not going to be like your audience. You're not going to be building your brand, your impact, and your influence. So you want to make sure that you are serving and not striving. The interesting thing about when we look to strive, striving often comes from you needing to prove something about yourself to other people. You trying to uphold some kind of an image for other people. You attempting to make people think something about you that you don't even think about yourself because you're speaking from an insecure space. So you have this striving because you need to get something. There's something you're trying to reach for rather than reaching your hand out to give something to your audience. I always say social media is not a place you get something from. It's a place you give something to as a creator. We're giving something to the platform. I'm giving something to all of you as I create these videos. I have tons of videos, not just on strategy, but on these nuances that matter that most people aren't even talking about. So this is really essential. Okay. And let me actually mention this. I have this in my note. It's really important. Serving means telling the truth. I really want to say that. Serving means telling the truth. When you're striving, you are trying to say things that get people to buy, but when you're serving, you're genuinely telling people the truth. You're not trying to say something that you think they want to hear. You're actually holding them accountable to the truth that they say that they want. They have this vision in their mind, this image in their mind of who they desire to be, the outcome that they desire to achieve. And there are certain things they're going to have to do in order to achieve that. There are certain ways and states of being that they're going to have to become in order to achieve that. And so you have to be able to tell the truth. And I'm not saying you're lying intentionally. What I am saying is when you're trying to be liked because you're trying to avoid the rejection because you're striving to hold up the image, you're not telling the truth in your content. You're not holding your audience to a high standard, a high image. that they see themselves as. And sometimes that's reflective on just you and your journey and where you are. If you're not holding yourself to a level of accountability, you're not going to be able to do that for someone else. Business is about leadership. Speed of the leader is the speed of the pack. So if you desire to have an audience and your audience is coming along with you and you're growing a community, you yourself have to be leading yourself. You have to have a coach. You have to have a mentor. You have to be leading yourself if you want to bring people along with you on that journey, on that message. So it's so important for you to understand the truth about what it is you're saying, where you're not holding back and you're not trying to make somebody think something of you. All right, number three. Number three, lead with conviction. Lead with conviction, which goes into kind of what I just said. There's a difference between talking about your message and telling people what to do versus you genuinely living out your message, and people can just feel that you're living it out and it exudes from you. It's coming through your pores, that is how you live your life. If you're online preaching, teaching about health, but behind the scenes, you're not holding your health to a standard in which you want your audience to hold themselves at, there's a disconnect. You're not going to build trust in that. Now you're not leading with conviction. You're not even leading at all. And this isn't about perfection. Don't get that confused. This isn't about perfection. This isn't about you not falling off the wagon in your own health journey. It's not about that. But are you using your own tools to get yourself back on the wagon? Are you using your own tools that you are teaching to people? Are you using it for yourself and saying, you know what? Here's where I faltered at, and here's what I did to get back on. Sharing it from the standpoint of here's the insight, here's the lesson, here's the thing that you can learn and take away from this. So you want to lead from this space of conviction, and you only do that when you yourself are genuinely leading your own life. When you are genuinely leading in the way that you help to lead other people, you're doing it for yourself. So you want to be able to create congruence. It's like train on a train tracks, or, when you screw a bottle, like a bottle cap on a bottle, right? There's grooves. So there's congruency when you lead your life to when you speak your message and you convey your message online in the marketplace. There's a congruency that people will feel. This is in the senses. This is in that gap that I was talking about, that gap of what you're not saying. Is people can tell if you lead your life like that or not. People can sense it. They can sense it in the words, because when you are not truly leading your own life, but you're telling other people to do something that you're not doing, you're going to choose very different words to market and very different words to use in your content. Because what you're going to attempt to do is hide that shame. And when you're trying to hide that shame, now you're speaking through a filter. Now you're not telling the truth. And then your audience can feel that distance. They can feel incongruency with your words to the energy of your words. We got to understand that people are hearing us, but they're also feeling us. They're also sensing us. And they might not know that that's why they're not buying, but it's essential for you as an entrepreneur, as a creator, as a creative, as an author, a coach, a consultant, or whatever you are, creating online content. It's essential for you to know this about yourself. It's essential because your audience, they don't know why they're not buying, but they know that they're not. But they know that they're buying from someone else. So when you can understand these subtle nuances, it changes the game, because you're not in a position where you don't know what to do. You know exactly what to do. But you're like, people still aren't buying. Why aren't they buying? These are the reasons why. Okay? So this is why most people are really consistent with their content, but the consistency doesn't even matter, because there's no trust that's being built, because there's no congruency there. They're not leading with conviction. They're striving instead of serving. And they're also trying to find the words, so they're not contemplating. They are just putting everything out there. So it's really essential that you do this, because if not, you're just going to be creating content without anything changing. So if you want things to change, you want to contemplate, you want to serve, and you want to lead. Really, really important. I've got a free training masterclass down for you below. It is the 7 biggest content marketing mistakes. It is going to go over the most common mistakes that people make. And I promise you, these are not things that you've heard or are really paying attention to online. Everyone's looking for a content pillar or this or that. I promise you, these are things that most people are not paying attention to, but they need to. So, free training for you down below. Click the link, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.